Hi, welcome to Stir Crazy. Happy Christmas. It's our first of our Christmas specials. So this one today we're doing some fantastic Christmas drinks and we've got two classics coming up for you. The first classic is a riff on a snowball. It's that disco drink from the 1970s that we all love to hate, but we've riffed that and had to play around with it. The second drink we've got today is a fantastic eggnog variation called Tom Kills Jerry, and it's a riff on a Tom and Jerry cocktail, and I'll get to those straight away shortly. So yeah, happy Christmas guys. Here's the first week of these Christmas drinks. We've got the second week, we're doing hot drinks next week, so it's those drinks that if you're doing social distancing, all that kind of stuff, we'll have all of that available for you. And there's three drinks with that one. So there's a hot drink in the middle, which is a hot buttered rum, which are classic, available as a pouch as well next week. So we'll be back to that. So yeah, here's my little friend here. He's giving you a hint of some of the tiki flavours that we've got coming later with our Tom Kills Jerry. It was a drink I developed last year for a cocktail competition. I didn't win it, but you know what, win some, lose some. It was for this glass basically, and so it's a competition called Libby, and they do glassology, and they every month or so they release something and they'll do a glass competition with bartenders all around the world to do it. 30 bartenders selected globally. I was one of them last year and we created this cocktail for it. So it's got a real Christmassy feel to it, and it's that eggnog special. And so I'm going to pop my little Rudolph over here, Rudolph pineapple, and then get straight into what's in the box this week. So this week you'll have a box and it's got a few things that are slightly different in there this week. So first of all, you've obviously got your sheet in there which will tell you how to make the drinks. But in there we've got bottles number 1, 2, 3 and 4 as per usual. So bottle number 1, as you can see, is a mix of Avocat, Madagascar, vanilla de Madagascar liqueur, and those little spots in there are just vanilla pod seeds, so you can see that in there. And then it's got some Angostura in there as well. Number 2 is a lemon and lime sherbet, and those are going to be our first drink today. So I'm just going to get those out in preparation for that. You've got a lovely little bonbon in there as well as part of that as well, and there's a straw as well for that drink there as well. The second drink, you will have a little vat pack pouch which has got a pasteurized batter in it, which I'll get to later. So that's for the second drink, and then you've got bottle number 3 and bottle number 4. Bottle number 3 is Plantation Stingin' Fancy Pineapple Rum, Hendrick's Blanche Absinthe in there, and then in bottle number 4 is a chestnut orgeat. You'll have your garnish bag, as I said, with a little bit of that there, your vanilla bonbon for the first drink, and then you'll have your another one. No, it's not drugs, so I'm sorry guys, I'm not sending out Christmas bags of whiz and crack cocaine. This is just caster sugar. So little bag of caster sugar, that is for the second drink as well. And again, we then have a little pipette for the second drink as well. That's full of the OFTD rum, and I will be getting to that one later on. So that's what's in your box this week. So without much ado, I am going to crack on with today's first drink so that you can have a quick go at that. And as I said, this is a really cool drink, this one, and like I said, it's kind of a snowball, and the snowball cocktail is one of those drinks where it's really maligned, and the reason it's really maligned is that it was kind of done to death and done wrongly for so many years. The only other things we're going to need today is obviously our glassware. So for the second drink, you kind of want a nice tall highball glass. The first drink, you can have either a rocks glass. I've got a perfect glass, which is this kind of bauble glass we used on one of our menus a while back, and it's kind of perfect for a snowball cocktail. But a rocks glass will be absolutely perfect for this drink. So the other things we're going to need this week is, if you've got a whisk and a bowl, that will be really useful on the second drink, just because we've got to whisk some egg whites up. If you've got a stand whisk or a blender whisk or something like that, that's even easier because it just takes all the hard work and heavy lifting out of it. You'll need some cubed ice, a mallet and a tea towel that you can bash up some cubed ice. So if you've got that, do that. Whilst I'm waffling on about the drink afterwards, as I usually do, go ahead, crash all your ice up, and you can do that now. So yeah, The next thing we're going to be doing as well, you need an egg for the second drink as well. So both drinks have an egg element to it. So this is though the whole egg, the raw egg you need for your second drink, and that is going to be an integral part of the drink. And I hope everyone likes raw eggs, but you get it in meringue and you get it in things like mayonnaise and all those lovely sauces that we have. Last thing you need is a little bit of soda. So that's pretty much all we need, and obviously a cocktail shaker. So without much ado, I'm going to get on to the snowball, which we've called snowballed. And it's, yeah, as I said, they are a little bit naff, snowballs, and we kind of know that. And it's kind of disco, and it's coming back in fashion, this disco style of drinks, but we're playing around with them. And the original reason it was kind of a bit passe. It was kind of 1970s when we did all those overly sweet disco drinks, and it was a bit too sweet and cloying. And these are dessert drinks, so you want them to have that lovely sweetness. But in the original snowball recipe dating back, so the snowball recipe now is just basically this Warnock's Advocaat and lemonade. And it's just a 2-part cocktail over ice, and you just fill it all up, and that's it. It's nothing really much to it. It's not really a real headache when it comes to making a cocktail. The original recipe though had half Advocaat, half brandy, and fresh lime juice. And so this dates back to about the 1940s, that cocktail. And again, it didn't have quite as much lemonade in it, and it wasn't drowned out as well. So it kind of had a subtle thing, and that lime and that cognac would cut through the sweetness and the cloying sweetness and custardiness of the drink to create something a little bit more balanced. As I said, in the 70s we had a whole load of drinks which then became a bit naff. So we're going to make this drink first of all, and for this drink we need a cocktail shaker to start with. And then all I'm going to do is take my bottle of number 1, which is the Advocaat, and in there what I've got is Advocaat. So essentially I've got 40 ml of Advocaat and 10 ml of my Vanilla de Madagascar liqueur. And this is made using essentially a Madagascan vanilla. So we take Madagascan vanilla pods, we scrape them into a little bit of sugar. We then add a VSOP cognac. So we're adding that cognac in to make the liqueur. So it's a cognac liqueur that we've made up for you. And we use Martell VSOP for that. And then we just bottle it up. And so that's already in your bottle number 1. And so, as I said before, it is literally just 40 ml, and then 10 ml of that cognac liqueur. You can buy these sort of vanilla liqueurs quite easily online, but I always prefer to make my own with fresh ingredients. And again, you can see the lovely seed pods in there as well. The last thing we've added in there is a few dashes of Angostura bitters, and this gives it's kind of my spice cabinet. So it's giving me all those Christmassy notes, it's giving me those cloves, those nutmegs, that cinnamon flavour all in a box, and it just adds and rounds off the drink a little bit more. The last thing we have is in your bottle number 2 is a lemon and lime sherbet. And so what we've done is, those people who know how we've made sherbets before, where we grate all the zest into sugar and then we add the juice into it, and you get this lovely acidified syrup and cordial type thing, and it's very sharp and very tart, but you get all that citrus notes. So what we've done is we've made them both separately. We've made a lemon sherbet and a lime sherbet, and then we've mixed it 2 parts lemon sherbet to 1 part lime sherbet. And these are to kind of give all of those flavour notes that you would get from the lemonade originally and from the fresh lime juice. And again, we just need to empty the whole bottle into that. And this again, it sweetens but it sours at the same times. And then the last thing I need to do is, pop in an ice cube. And then all I'm going to do is give my drink a good shake. Going to pop in there just to one side for 1 second and let him just all settle to the bottom of the glass. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to create some flake ice. Now you can do this as we usually do it with, I usually use a Lewis bag like this, and then we put the ice in the bag, just pop him in front, and then we just give it a good bash about a bit. And this will make lovely crushed ice. Watch your fingers when doing this, obviously. You don't want to catch your fingers, otherwise you'll end up with a little tripped casualty. And then all I need to do is I grab my scoop there, take my ice and pop him into my glass. There's a little bit more. Now that's one way you can do crushed ice. Now the other ways you can do it, which we do it in bars quite often, is we take big blocks of ice, and then what we do is we literally shave it. And with a really big block, you can just shave this down like this. And you can see I'm taking it off, but this is kind of getting up a level where you've got to be really confident about what you're doing. So the last thing you want to do is take the end of your finger off and again end up in casualty. It's a really good way to shape ice as well. So if your ice doesn't quite fit your glass, you can just take a little bit off, and then we just need to put that into our glass. So I'm just going to take that up and pop that in my glass. So that's two different ways we can make this lovely flake glass there. And so the nice thing about this cocktail is that the way we've done it, it's still got all those original flavours, but it's got the kind of 1940s recipe where it had a bit more balance to it. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to strain that into my glass and pour that over the ice. Now it's not quite filled the glass, but that's a good thing, because what we want to do now is just top it with a little bit of soda and just lengthen it a little bit. And it'll all bubble up, and you'll get the lovely foam that you really do expect with this type of drink. The last thing we want to do here is just pop on the vanilla bonbon, and this will really lift out those vanilla notes that are happening in the drink as well, because we've added that vanilla de Madagascar liqueur. So this is just a little vanilla bonbon, pop them on top and pop your straw in, and we are good to go. So you'll get lovely vanilla notes with that drink, and it really shines through, and it's not as cloying. You've got the real citrus burst that you're going on there with it as well. And because we've dialed back that Advocaat a little bit, it just makes it a lot more palatable. And so the nice thing about this drink is that when you have the original one, it's like cloying and sickly sweet, and as I said before, it's kind of got a bad rap. And when you started researching it a bit more, you sort of realise where the original recipe came from. And so yeah, I hope you like your first drink there, guys, and happy Christmas. Here's to Snowballed, and gets better with every sip. So where does this wonderful ingredient that we've got in there called Advocaat really come from? So this is Warnick's Advocaat. It's a Dutch liqueur, so it's from Holland, and where it comes from is essentially, originally it's a little bit of a mystery. Like most of these things that go back into mists of time, a lot of it is lost, but we can sort of make educated guesses, and there's been some good research over the years on it. And so, as I said, it's a Dutch liqueur, so the etymology of the word really comes from these Dutch origins. And so when we look at the sort of dictionary of where things come from in Holland, it's like there's this dictionary of the Dutch language, sort of from about 1882, so that kind of early days of cocktails and drinks and things like that. And it basically says that Advocaat is a lubricant for the throat that is considered especially useful for a lawyer who must speak in public. So it kind of has this thing, and also when we look at what Advocaat as a word, it comes from the Dutch word for advocate or lawyer. And so it's thought that it might be, it was a drink that lawyers drank to allow them to publicly speak in public and for long times. And so it was very much associated with the legal profession. And so one of the things where it comes from is that kind of idea that it came from there originally, but that sort of, it does predate that. So that was kind of the 1882s, but when we go back to the 17th century, there's Dutch texts that basically describe this yellow coloured drink that was really popular with sailors. And so the Dutch sort of Antilles, sort of the Dutch Caribbean islands basically, there was this drink, and it was made from avocado flesh. which was then mixed with booze. It would have been cognac or Genever or brandy. And when we think of brandy vine, burnt vine, which was this burnt wine or brandy wine, and which was the kind of alcohol liquor, the very first sort of reiteration of alcohol liquor. And so these avocados would come over and they had this drink. And again, indeed, sort of Sir Hans Sloane, who has Sloane Street and Sloane Square in London is named after. He also is one of the main people behind the Natural History Museum, the Sloane Collection. He was an Irish naturalist, and he basically was believed to have coined the word avocado originally sort of in around 1696, 1697, when he mentioned a plant in a catalogue he did of Jamaican plants. He also called it the alligator pear tree, and we can all see why he called it that. But yeah, the name of the fruit was the abacate in Portuguese, which has then evolved to advocate by Portuguese colonists in Brazil, and then became advocaat in Dutch. And so it sort of became this idea, and it was this drink where they would have this sort of pulped avocados, and they would put the booze with it, and they would drink it warm, and it was this lovely creamy yellow drink. And yeah, they kind of then started thinking, how do we do this back home? When they got home, the sailors, they wanted to have that drink again. It kind of reminisced them of their days on the ocean, and so they basically would try and experiment with it. And there was this guy called Johannes Koemans, and he was first experimenting with eggs and trying to create that creamy texture, and also brandy vine. And it was basically, he was thought to be the original inventor of avocat as a liqueur in around 1825. So as I said before, it's sort of got these two etymologies. One is kind of that lawyer's drink, and again, when you look at the name of the drink, originally was kind of advocaat and borrel, which basically borrel is Dutch for alcoholic beverage during a social gathering. So it was kind of the lawyer's drink. So that's kind of, there's two sort of ways of where it may have come from. And so yeah, it's avocat. It's only really ever comes out at Christmas. It's one of those things, once you crack the bottle, pop it in the fridge, and you've got about 2-3 weeks to open it. So this is not one of those drinks where you can leave this till after Christmas and all the rest of it. You've got to drink it, and yeah, that's a good thing. So I'm going to polish that off later. So yeah, that was our kind of first drink. So I hope you like that, and snowballed. And it's a little bit of fun, it's a little bit disco. And the next one we've got is going full tiki, but we're kind of tackling one of the sort of going into a complex level of drink making now, because it's got lots of different elements to it. And so the first thing I'm going to sort of talk about a little bit is the precursor to the Tom and Jerry cocktail. And this, of course, is the one we all know, which is eggnog. And so eggnog is this sort of great drink that sort of came about sort of around 1300s in the UK. And so it's just starting to rain above me now, so typical English weather. So if there's any noise in the background, you'll know what that is. But anyhow, it was historically this sort of drink that was served warm, and it was non-alcoholic in the 1300s. And it was a way of celebrating winter in a way as well. And it became a sort of wintertime drink for the British aristocracy. The name sort of comes from two different words, and so the first word with the nog bit comes from, the egg, and the nog sort of comes from this idea of grog, and then also from noggins, which was kind of a wooden cup, that mug that the drink was served in. And so the sort of nog and grog, and so eggnog became sort of this idea. It was this sort of mix-up etymology between noggin and grog. And so yeah, so it's got a little bit of that old English sort of seafaring kind of thing with it as well. And as I said, the original one was a hot one, and it was basically served as a non-alcoholic drink. And there's references in newspaper articles from about 1818 with this drink as well. We then sort of see it sort of go over with the colonists to America, and so we had the British and Irish going over to America, and they took this drink with them, and it started becoming this Great sort of thing. And what they started doing is adding different spirits in with it. So originally it was always done with cognac, and for a number of reasons cognac went out of fashion in America. One was because of the phylloxera blight, which is one of the reasons why bourbon had an upsurgence and why we see things like bourbon in drinks around that same period, the 1850s. And after that, we also have these other things that kind of really made it more accessible. So they started adding rum to it to make a Tom and Jerry. And that was kind of because rum was accessible from the Caribbean. And a lot of these sort of things came about. And so what is in eggnog? So as I said before, it's essentially a cognac and or bourbon. So you can add both cognac and bourbon. You have raw egg, sugar and cream. And so what the drink we're about to do as a second drink is a variation on that. And what you do is you essentially whisk in the cognac, the bourbon, sugar and egg together, the egg yolk together, and then you fold in the cream. And then what you do is you whisk your egg whites and then you fold that in to give it a real silky feel. And we're going to do that with the next drink. So the next drink we will need a whisk. And if you've got a stand whisk, it's much easier because you just press a button and it goes and does it all for you. I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way, which is the manual labour way. And again, it's a lovely silky drink, and so you've got to get a really good sort of whisk action going there. And that's what we'll be using that sugar for. And also our egg whites. So what we'll have to do is separate out our egg yolks and our egg whites for that drink. And so I'm going to do 2 up because I want to show you the drink as a hot drink and also as a cold drink as well, because a Tom and Jerry cocktail was originally served hot. And so the nice thing about it is it can be served hot or cold. The other thing, if you do have it, is nutmeg's already really good. I've already put nutmeg in your batter, so I'll get to that in a second, exactly what's in it. But again, I'm just going to go, before I start the second drink, I'm just going to go a little bit more about the eggnog, its precursor. And as I said before, it was kind of these 1700s, it moved over to America and it became very indicative and very much more associated with American culture than British culture. And it never really took off again in England. It was always seen as this American thing to drink, but it wasn't really. It was always started over here. But yeah, it kind of, in the 1800s, it became really popular. And so to the point where it sort of became a big Christmas tradition to drink it. And we know that because there was a riot called the Great Eggnog Riot. And I'm not even joking about this. This is actually something that happened. So the Eggnog Riot of 1826. So this happened in, of all places, West Point. So the United States Military Academy in New York, and it's West Point. It's where all the sort of leaders of the world were sort of the military over there were trained. This military academy. And so this thing happened on December the 24th and 25th, so Christmas Eve and Christmas Day in 1826. And so what happened was, earlier in the year, the superintendent of West Point, Colonel Sylvanus Thayer, had banned alcohol from the premises. And you can imagine how this went down. It's military, come on. And so it was a rule that was instituted for good reason, because they were all getting drunk too much. And basically what happened is, when the Christmas party came around later on in the year, the cadets all managed to smuggle in loads of whiskey and bourbon onto campus, and they mixed up a massive load of eggnog, and then it hit the fan. And so the Smithsonian Institute magazine basically reported that there were, I think, 90 cadets who got absolutely wasted on these big batch of eggnog, went out of control. 2 of the military officers were assaulted, and windows were smashed, plates were broken, glasses were broken, banisters torn off the stairways, and it was just chaos. And so they came in, they arrested them. The school court-martialed the worst offenders. That was 19 students of the 90, and ultimately 11 of those cadets were expelled and in disgrace. One who didn't get expelled, though, which is quite a poignant thing from this time, it just shows you how history intertwines with these things and booze, is Jefferson Davis, who was one of the Confederate States presidents during the Civil War. So he didn't get expelled. And so you just think, if he got expelled, what might have happened in the Civil War and all those kind of things over in America? And so, yeah, it was all kind of crazy. And so, yeah, Jefferson Davis was one of those people who got hammered on eggnog. And so, yeah, eggnog went on and on. It's still a soldier's favourite in America. And it's like, and it varies over the decades, but it's still got all of these kind of great things with it. And it's really renowned for having these eggs beaten into the drink. So, without much ado, I'm going to go on to our second drink. So, Tom Kills Jerry. This is a little bit of a longer drink to make. And the reason being is there is a lot going on with it as well. And so we've taken some of the hard work out. We've made the batter for you. So your batter there should be nice and pliable. And so it's perfect for this drink. You'll also have your little baggie of sugar, need your egg, and you will also need bottles number 3 and 4. And a highball glass, and then you'll have your pipette, which will have your rum in as well for the garnish at the end. So what we've essentially done with this drink is we've taken some of the hard work out, we've created the batter, and the first thing we need to do here is when we do it first, if we take our shaker and then I'm just going to take my shaker there, pop that to one side for 1 second. So that's the second part of the drink. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take and separate out our egg white to our egg yolk. So I'm just going to put my egg white into the bowl. There. And I'm just going to pop in my yolk into there for me. So I've got my egg yolk in my shaker now, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop in there my bottle number 4, which is the chestnut orgeat. So if you pop in with your egg yolk and your chestnut orgeat, and then what we're going to do is just give that a really vigorous shake. And the reason we're going to do this is kind of making like this, an avocado type thing, but just with the sugar. And I just want to beat it up a bit. And this gives a lovely creaminess to the drink when we make this. I don't want any ice. I just want to get the liquid thickened a bit. It takes about 20 seconds. There we go, perfect. So I've got that nicely thickened in there now, so I don't know if you can see that in there. So it's thickened up nicely with the sugar. If you want to thicken it a little bit more, just a little teaspoon of that caster sugar will thicken it up just that little bit more. The next thing I'm going to add in there is our coconut cream and milk. So this is basically our batter mix here, which is made. So I need you to open that up and then snip that and pour that in. What I'm going to do is just show you pretty much what's in that batter. So what we've done is we've taken about 40 millilitres of coconut cream, of double cream in there. So that's 40 ml of my double cream. I then also have my coconut cream, and this is different to creamed coconut, so you can get little tins of this which are coconut cream. So so it's got a sort of consistency of double cream pretty much. Pop that in. And then the other thing that's in there is some nutmeg. So that's what those little brown flecks in there are. So it's just nutmeg in there. So I'm just going to grate into mine. Oh, I think my grater's lost its meg. So let me just get him out. And there we go. So these great little things. This is my nutmeg grater, and it's like a little UFO, and it's like a little grinder for it. And you can get graters which are more simple that you just grate against, like a little cheese grater. But you can see the nutmeg going in there now. So I'm just going to pop that in, and then what we're going to do is add in our bottle number 3. So in bottle number 3, what we have is 35 ml of Stiggins Plantation Pineapple Rum. And then the other ingredient I have in here is my new favourite product, which is Hendrick's Absinthe. And so this Hendrick's Absinthe's not been on official release properly in shops yet, so it's quite hard to get hold of. You can get it if you special order it through our sister bar, Halulu on the Seafront, same with the Plantation Pineapple, and we can get hold of bottle sale, or you can order it online at Masters and Malt Direct. We're happy to get hold of it for you. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to dry shake that a little bit more, and so and then this is just getting all of those ingredients well mixed together. Okay. Got this lovely white creamy liquid in there. So the next thing I want to do with this is I need my egg white, and I've got a little bit of shell there, so I'm just going to get rid of that. So I've got my egg white, and then I've got my sugar. And so what I want to do with this is let that settle for a bit. We don't want any ice in it yet. I'm just going to add in my little baggie of sugar into there. And then we are going to whisk this up. So what I want to do is kind of get stiff peaks, as we call it in the train. So mix it all together, and those all blend together, and it becomes like a meringue basically. It's exactly the consistency we want. Now this is, as I said, this is one of those drinks where you can do this and have it hot. So you notice I haven't put any ice in there yet, and so if you want to have it hot, you just heat the batter up now, and that will in a pan, and you can do that, and then you can fold this in at the end of it. And as you can kind of see there, it's sort of becoming together now as a sort of meringue type of thing. And what I'm doing is all the proteins in that egg white are forming that foam. So it's in essence, when we're trying to make that foam in a cocktail glass, that's what we're doing when we're shaking it. This is exactly what I'm doing with it. Now if you've got a stand mixer, this is much easier and much quicker. But as you can see there, it's starting to form stiff peaks, and it's that meringue that I want, because I'm going to fold that into my drink, and it gives me this lovely silky palate feel to it that you just can't get without the egg. And when we're cooking, we do the same thing when we're making mousses and stuff like that in the kitchen. And as you can see there, it's kind of perfect. It's just about there. Just another few seconds should get me just right. And you'll see the volume of that's almost quadrupled as well. So when I add this into the drink and fold it in, it will really give it an absolute amazing mouthfeel. So yeah, so that in essence is my batter now. And so what I'm going to do is just give this a final little shake together, just to make sure everything's together. Now this is not a drink I really like ice cold, you know, it's like, so I don't usually add ice to it when I'm making it. And what you can do is when you've made all your batter up, what you can do is you can keep that batter, so with the brandy and the coconut milk and the cream. And the reason I use coconut milk, not normal milk, is I really want to give those tiki flavours. So it's kind of pina colada in a glass. So we've got pineapple in the rum, coconut in the coconut milk, and we've instead of using a brandy, we've used absinthe. And so I love the absinthe in this drink because it really brings Christmas to me, because when I think of Christmas, I'm thinking of all those cloves, nutmeg, anise, star anise. And so it's one of those sort of Christmas spices that we have all the time in our food. And so this just brings that anise to the fore. So yeah, I'm just going to pour that into my glass all the way up. And then I'm going to layer in my meringue. And then the last thing I want to do with this, in essence, is just give it a little stir around in the glass. And that way I'm kind of folding it in the glass. So I'm not losing any of that air. And so all the way through. And it just allows me this drink, which is just lovely, long, and just decadent in the extreme. Now the last thing I'm going to do on that, don't want to waste the drop, oh my god, so good, is I'm just going to snip off the end of my pipette here. Now this is overproof rum, so this is this OFTD rum, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. And just all I'm going to do is just take that and just drop it all over the top of the drink, and you'll see it floats on top of that meringue, lovely. It forms a layer on top, and so if I can show you in there, you'll probably see exactly what I'm on about. Notice that meringue's not going to fall out because it's just so thick and gloopy, and it's just lovely. And yeah, so I've got that lovely hit of overproof rum on top of the drink now, and yeah, it's just like so this is basically called an old-fashioned traditional dark, and that's what they kind of named it. But one of the guys who helped develop it was this guy called David Wondrich, and he's a massive drinks historian, and Tom and Jerry he knows inside out. And so when he was developing this with the fantastic guys at Maison Ferrand who own Plantation, his terminology he used was, oh fuck, that's delicious, OFTD. And so they kind of made it up to go with that, but the actual real reason it was called OFTD was because of that. And so yeah, I'm going to tuck in Happy Christmas. This is the first one we've got of these drinks, so oh my lord, I could drink that all day long. And it is arse in a glass. It's fattening, it's delicate, decadent, pineapple, absinthe, all of these flavours mashed up into a glass. It's absolutely bloody delicious, and if you don't like that, I don't know what's wrong with you. But I absolutely love this drink. It's my all-time new favourite Christmas drink, and yeah, it's just silky, creamy palate. And as I said before, if you are doing that drink, what you can do is you can literally put all of your ingredients into a pan. And so you can put your batter into a pan, you can put your, the rum and absinthe. So as I said, it's 35 ml of that fantastic Plantation pineapple rum, 15 ml of the absinthe. And I use the white absinthe, particularly this one, because it's got these lovely floral notes, but also it's a lot more softer. It's not aggressive, and only 15 ml, so it doesn't overpower the whole drink. And again, that little bit of OFTD on the end as the top note, just because you know to expect that rum, when that rum kick that you get in the drink as well. And it's like, and it's just all delicious in a glass. And so, yeah, and it's the trick for that drink always is, first of all, with that egg yolk in the beginning, you separate the egg yolk, shake it, and if you don't want to use a chestnut orgeat, we use chestnut orgeat. The way I make this is I literally get sugar, I mash up roasted chestnuts into it, we then put it in a big bag, we sous vide it, and then we add a bit of water to that, and the water will form this lovely sort of chestnut milk. And then what we do is we bring it up to syrup consistency with a load more sugar, and then you've got this lovely syrup, and you pasteurize, and it keeps, and it's a great thing for Christmas, and it's a great thing to adding to drinks for Christmas, give that chestnutty flavour and that wintry flavour. So all of those sort of Christmas spices are in there, and it's just, yeah, it's lovely. It's like, and again, you can put this into, when they served these Tom and Jerry cocktails originally, they were done as big heated punch bowls. So yeah, doing it in a pan is just a really good way to do it as well. And it's like, and I highly recommend that. And it's what we're going to start doing with Stir Crazy is actually producing ingredients cards so that you can get these and make them at home and things like that as well. And so it's one of the things I'm kind of working on at the moment, is to each week when we go after Christmas, we'll have an ingredients card with that. And we will work our way slowly through our back catalogue to get those out there to you as well. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more whilst you've got your Tom and Jerry there now. So I hope you're enjoying that at home. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about where Tom and Jerry came from. We're all thinking it's the cartoon at the moment, and it's so not. So, as you know, one of the people I talk about quite a bit is Professor Jerry Thomas. Another guy who we talk about quite a bit is the drinks historian. So he's a guy called David Wondrich, and again, he was one of the guys who worked with Plantation, who's also done a massive load of research on Tom and Jerry, and it's in this book, Imbibe. And this book won the James Beard Award, which is one of those awards for outstanding literature in the drinks industry. And so any book that wins it is usually damn good. And this, for me, was essential reading for all bartenders. It's a lot of this history that we get. It started off by reading this book, and then we went a little bit further, and we kind of looked back on it. And it's, as I said, it's called Imbibe by David Wondrich. And so a lot of that book is based on Jerry Thomas and those first cocktail books. And so in numerous accounts, David Wondrich basically says that Professor Jerry Thomas basically claims that he conceived of the Tom and Jerry in 1847. And he's been quoting as naming it after himself and two small white mice, go figure, and that he kept as pets. Which were called Tom and Jerry, his two little mice. Don't tell Tom that. But anyhow, it's been documented a lot earlier than that though now, and it's sort of in the 1820s, 1810s. It was thought to be attributed to an English author called Pierce Egan. And basically, Pierce penned a play, which was called Tom and Jerry, which was in 1821. And although there's no kind of evidence to corroborate the drink to the name exactly, it was thought at the time that to go Tom and Jerrying in the UK or in America was to go out on the town. And it was also a kind of low dive bar, kind of going out in the town, having a great time, Tom and Jerrying around town. And so when you think about gerrymandering and things like that as well. And so it's kind of a lethal festive drink. And because it's got this lovely usual thing that it has is cognac and then rum, and beaten together with the egg yolks and egg whites, and it's decadent and it's just bloody lethal. And it's so easy to drink, as you can see with this drink. It's just creamy, silky deliciousness, and you just glug, 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 and suddenly you've done like all of these high-strength spirits, and you've had 6 more, and you're like flat on your back going dribbling eggnog at Christmas on the carpet. And so yeah, it was a bit of a tall tale though, that it really came from sort of Jerry Thomas, but it was kind of definitely this this playwright. And but he became the biggest advocate of it, Jerry Thomas, and he was the one who started making these big bowls of thing. And when you see these bowls, they actually say Tom and Jerry on it. They're specifically just for this cocktail. And you get some really nice vintage ones as well, and they have handles on the side because it was a hot drink, so you couldn't pick it up just as a normal bowl. They were made from ceramic, not from metal, for exactly those same reasons as well. And so yeah, there were these lovely steaming hot drinks. You'd bring it over full of this lovely batter and rum and cognac. And so one of the reasons I really wanted to use the Plantation rum is this is a rum made by cognac producers, so it kind of gives us both in that same product, where you've got, and they are aged, the Plantation rums are all aged in Maison Ferrand cognac barrels as a second aging process. So one of the lovely things about it is this crossover that they have between rum and cognac with Maison Ferrand, and this expertise they have with it as well. So it was kind of the ideal one for me. And I wanted to make it tiki, so I wanted the pineapple flavour in there, that kind of pina colada flavours going on with the coconut cream and the pineapple. And so, yeah, they make this by actually macerating in 2 different products. So they take their OFTD, their dark rum, and they macerate that with skins, and then they take the other one and they macerate that with the pulp, and they distill one of them, and they basically put it all together and come up with this absolutely astonishing product. And so it was the world's best new product about 5 years ago, and it just is a belter. So highly recommend, get a bottle of that Christmas. Top of the Christmas list is that, and second, look after the guys at Hendrick's. So yeah, that is kind of where that came from. And Hendrick's Absinthe, I kind of love at the moment. If you saw our Absinthe one a few weeks ago, you'll know that this is a brand new product out. It's a lower ABV absinthe. It's a white absinthe, so it doesn't have that chlorophyll, that greenness to it. And it does go amazingly with tonic as well for any of those that haven't had it yet. So yeah, it's kind of, that's all of our drinks for this week. So what I'm going to do is just tell you a little bit about next week. So next week we've got something quite close to me, which I kind of love, and no one really knows about it in this country. And we've got a drink which is a glog. And so a glog is kind of a mulled wine. It's from Norway, so it's top of Scandinavia. And my business partner and I, we opened a bar there we consulted on a bar over in Norway quite recently. And then I also consulted on a restaurant chain, which was a Scandinavian restaurant chain. We opened a load of restaurants for them as well. And so I got to learn all about this product, which is aquavit. And so I'm going to be talking all about aquavit next week, but we've got one of the best aquavits in that drink, which is this Tafel aquavit. And so that's one of the drinks. That's in our Odin's Glog next week. The classic in the middle is a hot buttered rum. If you haven't had hot buttered rum, oh my God, you're going to love this drink. It is literally a winter warmer. They are all hot drinks, by the way, next week. So you will need an induction hob or a hob, kettles, all of the things we need to heat drinks up. And you could use a stove. It's just as easy if you've got a little Trangia gas stove. These are all drinks which are for sharing outside. The last one we've got is our crazy wassailing punch, and so this is our own version of a wassailing punch with loads of lovely ingredients and flavours going on there as well, with pear, apple, spice, and Bombay Bramble Gin, so which I've got up here somewhere. There we are. So we've got a little bit of the brand new Bombay Bramble in that one as well. So it's a hot gin punch, so super on trend at the moment, and yeah, it should be a really goodie. It's going to be one of those things where you'll learn how to make these drinks, and you can have them on Christmas Day outside. So if you've got a group of you don't want to be inside, you don't want to be killing grandma and grandpa. So what we can do is you can try these drinks, take them home, and essentially make these fantastic drinks to drink and socialise outside safely, where you've got good ventilation. And so that was kind of the idea for us when we were doing the Christmas drinks as the second one. These are ones you can have at home and keep all to yourself and not share. The other ones are sharing cocktails, which you can hand out and give it to people as a nice hot punch. And if they're nice and boiling hot, they're not going to have any bugs in them, which is really good as well. And so yeah, so there's 2 drinks in next week's box, but you can get the third pouch as always if you go onto our website and pre-order the pouch cocktail as well for that. The last thing I'm going to say is over Christmas, so next week's is the last one until New Year's Eve. And so with this, what we're going to be doing is obviously the next week's, it's last date for posting out is Wednesday. So we have to get those out just so we can try and get them to you by DPD again. We will then be shut for Stir Crazy over Christmas. We're doing a absolutely special first time one on New Year's Eve though, which is a new box. It's a £25 box. It's a party box, basically. So there's going to be lots of goodies in there. We're hosting a party, so it's going to be a live party. We're not on Facebook, we're not on YouTube for that, we're on Zoom. So we will send you a Zoom link. Everyone will join in, we'll all be able to talk and interact with each other. It's the first time we've done this, so we're really looking forward to it. It's £25 for the 5 drinks. You'll get the Zoom link as well when we send it out, and it's going to be great fun. And we're going to do that probably about 8:30. I'm just about to decide the times later on, and we'll let that out. And so we're kind of going to have a little bit of a longer one. We're going to enjoy you. You might see some of us a little bit tipsy. And it could be quite good fun. So I'm really looking forward to having New Year with you guys. So if you want to join in on New Year, our box is going to go live very shortly on Monday morning for that, and that will be going live all the way through to enable you to buy that. So yeah, it's the 5 drinks. What are they? They're 5 of our favourite cocktails that we're choosing. So there's 5 of us behind Stir Crazy, and so we're all choosing a drink each that is going to go out, and yeah, we hope you enjoy them. It's going to be a good one. 2 of those drinks will be pouch drinks and 3 will be made drinks. So there's going to be a lot of shaking action. We can all see and compare each other's shakes and stirring techniques and all the rest of it. So I'm really looking forward to finally meeting you all in person on Zoom, socially distanced on New Year's Eve. So first and foremost, I'm going to wish you absolute belter of a Christmas. If I don't hear from you beforehand, have a great one, and let's hope that we can all see each other on New Year's Eve. Say adios, mother, to 2020, and welcome 2021. I hope it's a much better year for all of us than it was last year. So yeah, as I said, next week you'll have me back again, and I'll be doing all of those lovely hot outdoor drinks. So thanks again, and good night.